Okay, so I guess this is how it all starts, isn't it? Hi out there, Facebook friends, clients, and the like. I'm Jonathan Bengal, and I'm sitting here in front of you, as promised, in a bathrobe. I have to admit though, and tell everybody out there that it's actually a little bit different when you don't have an audience or someone that you can interact with. But perhaps maybe you could help me out. Those of you that are watching, and if you're in fact engaged, I would love it if you would write comments on this feed as we go along. My co-producer, my co-producer Paige, she's on the background watching all the comments coming in. So if you leave us any comments and stuff like that as I'm talking, and there's a moment where she can share something with me or whatever else the case may be, we'll utilize it. So I was thinking about all day today how to get this all going, and so here we go. My name is Jonathan Bengal, and I am an IRS enrolled agent, a certified tax coach, and I'm also a certified tax planner. For the past 16 years, I created a multi-six-figure company. I've created millions of dollars in savings for my tax clients, and I've also created jobs. My biggest claim to fame thus far is saving not just one, but two clients over $500,000 in taxes, and the IRS settled exactly for $0. The truth is what I found is that the government does not want your money. This is the truth. It doesn't want your money. So today, entrepreneurs hire us as their chief tax strategist because many taxpayers lack the right write-offs, the right deductions, and they miss out on the right tax strategies to outsmart the IRS. So many continue to overpay and underdeduct. So what we did a long time ago was to set out and unlock the mystery of taxation, uncover legal loopholes, and reveal missed opportunities to free up cash from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Now, you see, the thing is it wasn't always this easy. It actually never started out that way. The truth of the matter is that I actually am a child of extreme poverty. I grew up with a mother and a younger brother, and that's it. My mother was on a fixed income of $500 a month, and that's how she raised two boys. At the time, I didn't realize that my mother had done everything she could in her power to make sure that she gave my brother and myself the best life that she possibly could. She was working within her limitations, but for her, her greatest sacrifice was to make sure that her children at least had some type of food, some type of shelter, and some type of clothing. I often get asked, what is poverty to you? And I always define it. And I always say, it's when a mother raises two boys on a fixed income of $500 a month. And from that, my mother taught me, unbeknownst to her, the art of budgeting. She taught me the art of looking out for myself. She taught me the art of looking out for others. And she instilled in me that every single one of us is rich, rich on the inside, the willingness to help others and to give them the best that they could have. So this is a shout out to my mom. You know, I spent my life originally wanting to be a teacher and an educator. That was supposed to be what I was supposed to do. But little did I know that the universe would have other plans for me. And so it brought forth this new talk show called Naked Tax Talk, and today it's Naked Tax Talk Raw. I get asked all the time, how in the heck did Naked Tax Talk get born? If you're one of my tax people out there and you recognize me from the NAEA conference, you remember this bathrobe right here. Because what happened is the year before I was so cold at the conference that I started wearing the bathrobe from the hotel. I didn't even think twice about it. I just put it on. What I didn't realize is that when I put on that bathrobe, it would immediately make me the odd duck. It would immediately make me the person that stood out, that everybody would look at me with curiosity. It happened again this past year when I went to the conference. And when I was there at the conference, again, I wore a bathrobe because someone had said, is that guy with the white robe showing up? And so I showed up with a bathrobe where I embroidered my logo on it, and I went around, prancing around in this beautiful robe. I didn't realize at that time, though, that I was about to start something momentous in my life, and that was the creation of Naked Tax Talk. You see, the truth is I didn't want to look like a fool. And so I spontaneously, without realizing that the universe was already doing the communicating for me, I said, I'm the host of a show called Naked Tax Talk. And people looked at me in bewilderment and curiosity. But what they found was instead was a gentleman like myself who ultimately realized and believes to his core that every single person in this world requires something spectacular in order to make their tax life even more amazing. What happened was, well, simple. I realized a long time ago that when it comes to our lives, it's about our search for one singular wish that every single person makes in this world. Every single person wakes up and they think to themselves, how am I going to get happy? How am I going to obtain happiness? How am I going to hold on to happiness? Because every single one of us is chasing this. I chased it for 39 years, looking for happiness. That damn thing is so elusive. Happiness, turns out, it's a skill set that each and every single one of us just simply has to tune into. We say simply, but the truth of the matter is it's really difficult to attain happiness. And the reason for this is because I realized that happiness doesn't just come to many of us. Why? Because many of us are familiar with this thing called negative emotions. Negativity fulfills everything around us. It fills, it surrounds us. In fact, many religions in the world have given it a type of idea. They've given it a face. For those of you who are Christians, you see this as original sin. If you're a Buddhist like myself, you see this as the root of all evil. And for many other cultures, they have a word for this thing called negativity that is constantly around us, all the time, all the time. It is so pervasive and so familiar that every single one of us, honestly, all we have to think about something terrible or bad for 1 second, and immediately our mind will generate something terrible. Immediately we will become angry and upset, we'll become frustrated. All we have to do is think about an event. If you don't believe me, try it. Don't suggest it, but you can try it. And so I realized a while ago that if it was true, that if I could so easily become angry, so easily become frustrated, simply by thinking about it, then it must be true that I can be happy by just simply thinking about being happy, about thinking about joy and love and kindness and giving and all the virtuous things that we do in life. You see, the truth of the matter is that I spent my life always on the outside, always as the outcast, always as the guy showing up in a bathrobe at a convention full of suits and business attire. I've always been that guy that was the nerd. I was always that guy that was always last on the football team or the racing team. I was always that guy who was too much of a nerd for his own good. I was also that guy who just simply wanted happiness in his life. I sought a path of taxation because what I realized is that taxes impacts our life. Everything we do in this life has a tax consequence behind it. It does. That's the truth of the matter. Everything we do in this lifetime is a result of taxes. Taxes come in and come out. Where was I going with that? I don't remember. But all I know is something about something. I was talking about happiness. So, oh wait, about naked tax talk. So, see, case in point, this is what happens when you shoot raw, right? It's like kind of having sex. It's the same thing. In the middle of it, you kind of, both of you are just like, making out, yum, yum, yums, all that good stuff. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of thinking about, like, did I turn off the coffee pot? That's kind of what just happened here. Just saying. Nonetheless, I created Naked Tax Talk because I realized that many taxpayers, myself included, we all want to achieve happiness. And when you're a business owner, think about this for a moment. When you're a business owner, you had a mission in life. And that was, I'm going to create a business so that I can be happy. Why? Because we were all suffering from this thing called a job. We were all suffering from this thing called I have a schedule to wake up to and actually go to work and not get paid. We all have suffered from this. That's the reality of it. So as entrepreneurs, we woke up and we created a business. That's what I did. Because you see, the truth of the matter is, like I said, I was that guy that was poor. I was that guy that struggled. And I realized a long time ago, thanks to my mother, that I was responsible for my own self. I was responsible for my own success. And so I created this company, Naked Tax Talk, along with JB Financial. Where else am I going with this thing? Oh yeah, Naked Tax Talk. So, Naked Tax Talk, I also realized, is this. Many of us start a business just like that. We started. And what we don't realize is that our belief systems, who we believe we are, like fundamentally who we are, becomes the reflection inside of our business. Case in point, I really genuinely believed that I wasn't worthy enough to actually be successful. I actually believed that I wasn't capable of it. I had a hard time believing that someone like me, who was a disappointment to his family because he came out as gay at the age of 14, I felt like because someone like me, who always seemed to just keep on struggling, was somehow a disappointment. And that meant that I wasn't worthy enough. Or how about this? Growing up poor, I saw how society looked at us. I saw how they judged us. By the way, that's part of my core message now, is about judging. I saw how they judged me for how I looked, how I dressed, because I went to poor schools, because I didn't have enough money to go to nice universities. I saw all of this. And as a result of me seeing all of this stuff, it created deep, deep shame inside of who I was. I was ashamed of who I was. Being gay, being poor, being Hispanic, you name it, I was ashamed of it all. And the shame, I realized, came because I was looking at others for their acceptance and for their approval of who I am. It's taken a lot of years to come out of that. It's taken a lot of years for me to step into this light that I see in front of me and this camera in front of me and realizing that this is being heard by a whole bunch of people. Naked Tax Talk, what I want you to all explore with me over the next course of this journey is this. Every single business owner wants to be happy. Every person in this world is chasing happiness. Business owners particularly. And so when we are judging ourselves and we're holding on to shame, we're actually allowing that to seep into our businesses. Do you know how this manifests itself? It manifests itself in how much we charge people. It manifests in us taking time out of our lives to fulfill someone else's happiness, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that sometimes we might do it for the wrong reasons. Maybe because we want them to like us. Maybe because we want them to love us. Or maybe because we want them to accept us. And so we're chasing that. And so then I realized that if this is the case, then what is going on personally? 9 months ago, I started the journey to really begin to propel myself forward as an entrepreneur, to really begin to look into my self-value and my self-worth. And what I found is that this journey is really tough. In fact, I'm still working on it. But this is what I discovered. Only we know our true sense of value, our true sense of who we are. And it takes time for us to actually believe it. It's kind of like me talking into the camera right now, having no idea what I look like, what I sound like. Well, I kind of have an idea what I sound like. But it's kind of like this. And what do I mean by this? Well, I realized that as a business owner, there's a reflection going on. My business is reflecting who I am on the outside to others. When people think of Naked Tax Talk, they immediately think of people maybe perhaps being completely naked. Truth be told, you can take a peek underneath my robe, but I digress. Many people think that Naked Tax Talk is somehow taboo. And you know what? That's natural. It's natural for people to feel like this, and that's okay. What I also discovered, though, is that personally, I had to move myself forward. I had to actually take myself from this idea that I wasn't worthy enough and move myself forward so that I was. And you know what I didn't realize is that I had always had the courage to stand up and to believe in who I am. I'm a guy who's a certified tax coach, a certified tax planner, IRS enrolled agent. You know, it took forever and a day for me to actually have pride and courage to say that all the time. And then I realized that on the personal level, it took time for me, courage for me, to truly allow myself to be that openly gay guy, to be the effeminate character that I am. It took a lot for me to accept it. And the natural the natural transgression, no, the natural trans something, what's the word I'm looking for? The natural trans meaning movement, trans movement, no, transgression, there you go. The natural transgression from personal to business came about because once I realized something really fundamental, my business took off. And what that was is I finally accepted the fact that I am a tax genius. Now, it's funny because I say that, and there's a little bit of reservation in my heart because I'm like, he kind of sounds kind of cocky. But here's the truth. I actually believe it now. I fundamentally believe that I actually am a tax genius. And how do I know this? Because I save my clients millions of dollars in taxes. I have proof behind it. I have proof behind the pudding. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So, don't know where I'm going with all this because I don't really have an idea where I'm going with this, and that's my typical life. By the way, you guys are all literally taking a peek at me in its development. This is me right here. I have no clue what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm saying or where I'm going, other than all I know is I created Naked Tax Talk so that we could have a space to talk about our personal lives, where we can work on our personal development of what I would call self-acceptance. Because again, what I stress and what I say is that once I accepted who I was, this guy who was just quirky, effeminate, gay, you name it, and I accepted all those things about myself, it gave me the confidence to accept all the things about my business. And so I took all of these things about my own work and I began to implement it at my company, my other company, JB Financial. And for those of you that are clients and for those of you that are seeing me on the sidelines, you're seeing that all this change is happening. And it's not because I want to be greedy. That isn't the issue at all. It is because I'm raising my sense of worth, my sense of value, and it's translated into my business. My business now says, let's really offer high-end quality services for our clients because that's what you're about now. You are about raising your value, about raising who you are. And so then from there, you step into the third component about Naked Tax Talk. And that is in the word itself, taxes and cash. You see, what I discovered is that money is just a symbolism for energy. I will confess, I am and was that guy that really wants to hoard all his money as much as possible. Keep it all for me. And when I was in that state of, I have to hold on to this, I have to hold on to this, I have to hold on to this, what I didn't realize is that it was causing me problems. In reality, what it was doing, it was closing me down from the possibilities of what was and what can be and what is. I realized, though, that where that came from, it came from my own childhood of seeing that we only had just $500 to pay for things. It came from me seeing at the age of 12 having to write checks for my mother so she could pay the rent or she could pay her bills. It came from me seeing my mom scribble down on her notes how much her rent was and how much her utilities were. And then looking at us and knowing deep down in her heart she couldn't provide anymore. So I grew up holding on and hoarding on to any kind of money I could make. But what I didn't realize is it was actually causing me problems. Because you see, money simply is a symbolism for energy. I just recently found this out. And how do I know this to be true? Because the moment that I sat back and I reached out to my very first speaking coach, and she told me how much I have to invest in myself and my company, I about shit a brick. Because the truth is that that was my entire savings. I guarded it. I held on to it like nobody's business. And like all good things, I realized, because my mother taught me this, that we are all in it for ourselves. I'm in it for myself. I knew only I was capable of getting back my investment. So I turned around and I went ahead and I paid her in full and my I gave her my investment. But what it did for me was amazing. Because you see, what I realized is that I finally was able to just give in exchange for her knowledge, for her expertise. And what it did is it created this sense of, for me, confidence to come here and sit here in front of a light and a camera. And I enjoyed it so much that I turned around and I invested in another coach who really helped me to give me the confidence to hold up a cell phone and deliver 5-minute talk snippets here and there. It was about investing in myself. See, money, I realized, because it's like energy, it comes into our lives and then it leaves. We use money as a way in which we use it to invest in our life's purpose. You see, we're all born the same way, right? Naked, in a crib, helpless, right? That's the truth. We're all born this way. But every single one of us was given a destination, a purpose in this life. What is that purpose? Well, that's the beauty about human existence, isn't it? Every single one of us gets to decide what is our purpose. You see, I discovered a while ago that the universe is always answering our wishes. Wishes come true. I remember writing in my journal at the age of 17 years old that I was going to marry a blonde haired, blue eyed, skinny white guy and that he would be a geek. And more importantly, he would support me and he would have my back at all times. That he would believe in me and that he would find me valuable. 30 years later, I met my husband. I didn't realize that I had actually made that wish until I went back to my journals and started reading them again. I didn't realize I'd actually written down the specifics. And the universe saw it, heard it, and knew it, and allowed me to experience all the things I experienced up until I met my husband. Because all those life experiences gave me the knowledge and the expertise, you could say, to have a relationship with my husband. 11 years now in the making, I've been with my partner, my husband. Do you know I never thought I could say that word out loud? I always thought I would have to just call him my partner. And then would you know it, in 2014, when the Supreme Court allowed for same-sex marriage to happen, I had so much joy. Because all along, I just wanted to call somebody my husband. Another thing, in 1997, my friend showed me the very first Prius that came here to the United States. It was the hybrid. Nobody knew much about it, and nobody really wanted to buy these weird-looking things. But that didn't matter to me. So I turned around, and I would ride. Every single year, I would go, and I would ride in this car and pretend as if I was buying it. And in 2008, I bought my first Prius. I bought my first dream car. You know, when I thought about my company, JB Financial, when I started it in 2004, I had imagined in my mind that it was going to be this big conglomerate of a firm, that it would be prestigious, that it was going to offer only the best services it could ever offer people, that it would solve solutions that bring that it would solve everyday problems by the solutions that we'd offer. You know, growing up poor, I saw what it was like to constantly panic when you don't have $20 to pay for rent, and then you find yourself packing your house so that you can move in the middle of the night. I remember having to find 25 cents, 30 cents, just so I could buy an apple so that I could eat at lunch. Taxes are like that. Taxes is an unnecessary expense that many business owners pay. And I realized that taxes and money correlate one-on-one. They correlate together because they're a reflection of our business. And they're a reflection of who we are as people. When I stopped thinking in the mentality of everyone is taking away from me and everyone's out to steal from me, everything changed. I remember when I changed that mental mindset and I crushed my first multi-six-figure number. I was so excited and so proud of myself that I alone did it with the support of my staff. I did it. I couldn't believe it. You see, wishes come true. This is the truth. The thing is all we need to be is open to receiving those wishes. To being open to seeing what is our life's purpose. Many of us have no idea what the hell we're going to do in this world. And to be honest with you, I still have no idea 100% what I'm going to do in this world. All I know is that the universe keeps on bringing people to me, and it keeps on saying yes and amens, as my friend Davina says. The yes and the amens keep confirming that I'm supposed to do this. I met with Sue Frederick, who's a medium, by the way, and she helps you to find your career, your love, and your past peoples, your family, the loved ones, and to connect with them. And I remember when I met with her, because what she did for me was to inject something that I'll never forget. And that was she helped me to see what I'm supposed to do in this life. That I'm supposed to be here looking at a camera, being lit up by a round oval ring, and to talk openly, vulnerably, and honestly about a lot of things that impact us as people, as business owners, and as our taxes. Taxes is a nasty, nasty thing. Taxes are an expense. It's the one greatest expense that entrepreneurs unnecessarily spend their money on. Every single year, every entrepreneur continues to overpay. Every single year. And it bothered me so much so that I really wanted to find an answer to this. And I found it through looking at tax law and realizing that the IRS actually wants us to be successful in this life. You see, we grow up our whole lives hearing this thing about the IRS or state taxes, that all they want is to take your taxes, take your money, take your money. This is what we grow up with. And you know what? For the most part, people are kind of correct. For those that work for people, it's kind of correct, kind of. Not 100%, kind of. Like 0.01%. I digress. If you're a business owner, the IRS actually wants us to succeed. And it took me a while to understand what that meant. And now I do know what it means. What it means is that we as business owners who take the risk to sit in front of people with a bathrobe like myself and just underneath it, when we choose to do that, the government says, I want you to succeed. And how I want you to succeed is I want you to be able to deduct the expenses as it relates to the production of income. Because you are trying to make something of your life. When we think about the American system, when we think about America and this great country of ours, we think about it's a place where a man or a woman, or however we identify as, can actually make their own reality their reality. We can make that happen. We can really come from nothing and we can become something amazing and successful. We set our own course. We set our own destiny. And what I learned is that the IRS is not our enemy. It's our friend. And yes, like our parents who spank us so we do things wrong, so does the IRS. It slaps a penalty on you, slaps an additional tax on you, because you didn't play the rules correctly. Here's the other thing though, because many entrepreneurs fundamentally believe that they can do it themselves, which is great, and there are many that can. What happens is that they become afraid to deduct the things that they can legally deduct. Or they become nervous that they might make a mistake. And so they avoid investing in their companies to make their companies the next level. You see, when a business owner is about earning money, it's not just about spending money however you want. It's about making an investment back into your company. You see, in the world of accounting and taxes, well, primarily in accounting, we grow up with this phrase called expenses. It's an expense. It's an expense. It's an expense. It's a cost. It's a cost. On many levels, perhaps there is only one expense and one cost. And that, my friends, is called taxes. Motherfucking taxes. That, my friends, is a cost. That is an expense. But when you hire tax coaches and tax planners and IRS enrolled agents and tax attorneys and CPAs, when you hire your life coaches, your happiness coaches, when you hire your media coaches, when you hire your sales coaches, when you hire people, your employees, your own employees, when you hire and you reinvest, it's not an expense. Because you see, the truth is you had to have spent the money in that investment in order to make more profits, in order to take your business to the next level. You know, when you invest in a coach, for example, you're investing initially in yourself. But because your self becomes elevated, it steps up into a whole new level. Your business, which is a reflection of you, begins to also rise. It also begins to change. And when that changes, your cash and your taxes also change because your cash increases and your taxes decrease. Why? Because I have more cash now to go out there and to invest back into my company, to strategically think about where I want to put my money so that it better manifests itself as something I get back as a business owner. So, naked tax talk. I just want you guys to know that I really fundamentally created this program because I really want to share my thoughts on this in a very open and vulnerable way. I interviewed 16 top professionals in their fields, experts from all over the country, all over the world, about their various expertise and the various things that they do. Hopefully soon we'll have these new episodes that will come out so you can see me live in action with them one on one. And also in the future, I hope to bring on guests. When we get together, we just have an open dialogue about whatever it is we want to talk about. Because see, here's the thing. I know for a fact that people are afraid to click on Naked Tax Talk. I know for a fact that people are afraid to text 55888 to let's get naked, all one word. I know people are afraid because you think it's about dildos, cock rings, and cocks. But the truth of the matter is it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do about our lives, about improving who we are, about cleaning up the judgment, cleaning up the shame. It has everything to do with, are you ready for this? Your bathrobe. So I'm going to segue here if I may. So I have text 55888, all one word, to, and I got to create it now because I just realized that I just did something. So let's get naked. Let's get naked, all one word. And you're going to text it to 55888. And let's get naked, all one word. And what you're going to discover, and this is what I have come to learn, is that I can multitask. What I've come to learn is this. There are 4 types of personalities as it comes to your taxes. 4. The first one is someone who enjoys to be naked. This naked person really is all about, I can do it myself and I gotta go. Boom, they're out the door and they just make decisions left and right. They don't need a bathrobe to hide who they are. They love being in the spotlight. They love showing it off. The second bathrobe is one that we call the bring it your own. These are people who are not too comfortable with trying on someone else's bathrobe, so they would rather bring it themselves. And what we found is that this bathrobe, as it relates to their taxes, is very similar in the sense of they would rather look at their own taxes themselves. But unfortunately, what they find is that by bringing the wrong bathrobe to the wrong party, they end up paying too much in taxes. The third type of bathrobe that we know has to be about the big fluffy bathrobe, like the one that I'm wearing. And this big fluffy bathrobe indicates to us people who really fundamentally just want to bury their heads and not deal with their taxes. Those are great clients, by the way, for us. Why? Because I'm all about educating you. And the fourth, but not least, is the utility bathrobe. These are for the people who really fundamentally, they like to look at their tax returns and their accounting, and they want to find other ways in which to get better at it, but they keep getting stuck. So we set out to help them get unstuck. Anyway, so if you want to find out what kind of bathrobe you are in terms of your personality type, feel free to text 555-888 and at Let's Get Naked, all one word. It's 35 minutes. I realize we're running on for a long time, so I'm actually going to click out now, and I hope that all of you will tune in to future tax talks. And if you got ideas about things I should be talking about, feel free to shoot me an email. And I'm sorry that I wasn't naked this time around, but you never know. Until then, I'm Jonathan Bengal here at Naked Tax Talk. Yeah, hello. Hello.